Hey guys, it's Tarek with Cyclone FPV. It's about 8 o'clock in the morning right now, and I am trying to help a customer of mine out. Jeremiah is working on the, what you'll see right here on the, let me see if I can get this screen to do what I wanted to do. Hold on. There we go. All right, so on the table here, this is what Jeremiah is working on. He is getting ready to connect his Hobbywing flight controller, and he is putting in the HGLRC forward VTX. And the question he had for me is about connecting the two ports here, right? And so the question he had was simple: if I plug in my cable here, can I just plug it in here and we're good to go? And the answer is no. You can. It is not good to go. So there is something you have to do, and I'm going to make this real quick video so that I can show you guys exactly what's going on. All right. So the first thing that we're going to be doing is, and I'm going to get my old man glasses right here because I cannot see. Okay, so if you look at your Hobbywing flight controller, and if you look in the order that the pins are labeled, right? So you're gonna see, I don't know, I was hoping this could show it a little bit better, but if you've got one, then you'll know what I'm talking about. All right, so it's gonna say, and we're talking about if the board's facing away from you. So you've got your video in, your video out, your 10 volt, your ground, your receive 6 and your transmit 6, which is your UART 6, right? And so now that's how these wires are going to be going out of here. So it's pinned up on this side, so you go ahead and plug this cable in just like that. And so you have to now match it up with here. So here the pin up, which would put the cable in just like this, which would be perfect for when you plug it in, right? The difference is that your wiring here is actually, it says V in, which I really don't like the way HGLRC did this part. It's probably the one thing I say you have to be very careful of. If you're not paying attention, now the top one here, which would be the pin closest to me, says VID. But what's weird is if you just happen to be looking, this bottom pin says V in. Well, that stands for voltage in. And so I have had some people fry their board because they put the wrong pins. And they don't realize that that's a voltage and not video in. So anyways, so from forward to backward, it's voltage in, ground, RX for your smart audio, your 5 volt if you want to send it out, another ground if you want to send it out, and then you have your video in, all right? And so here's the deal. So what you need to do is you need to look and you see that your 10 volt on the Hobbywing stack is the third wire. Well, that third wire needs to become the first wire over here. So to do this properly, let me zoom out a little bit. You literally have to swap the pins. So the first thing you're going to do is your video in is going to be right here, right? And so you've got your video in, and that's going to be coming from the camera, wherever your camera is. So you can safely just take a very sharp tool like I'm using here, pry open that tab, and just gently slide out that cable. All right, now if it gets a little stuck, just kind of pry it up a little bit more, but do not lift it up too much or you'll break the tab. Just wiggle the wire and there you go. This wire will be the wire that you solder to your video out cable on your FPV camera. Now, this is your video out, right? Now this is what's going to be coming from the board itself into the VTX. So you're going to look for your video in. Well, your video in is the top pin, which means that video out, which is pin number 2 on this side if you're going from forward to backwards, needs to go to pin number 6 on here. So you're going to go ahead and start swapping this. So take pin number 6 out, okay? And we're going to just go ahead and remove the cable number 6, just like we did the video in cable. We're going to lift up that tab just a little bit, and we're going to wiggle that cable out if we can. I think I lifted it up enough, but maybe not. Let me see. Let me do this a little bit more because it's halfway out. So let me just go ahead and try to get that a little bit more up without breaking the tab. All right, let's see if we can get it out. Here. Okay, so there is this, right, is our, this is our TX, right? So this is going to actually go to our RX over here because that's how we're going to get smart audio. So you're going to hold this cable and just put it aside a second. All right, and now we're going to try to see, we are taking our video out cable, which is cable number 2. And we're going to take our, and again, you're going to pry up the tab just a little bit. and you're going to try to get cable number 2 out. All right, and there it is. Now, cable number 2 from your Hobbywing is going to go into pin number 1, which is where we just released. So you're just going to basically take it and now pop it into the port that you just took out before, right? And there, that'll go in there. And once you get that in there, go ahead and make sure to just push that tab back down. All right, so all you're doing is basically crossing the wires all over the place. So here, I'm just going to press it down because I do not want it to come out. So we've got now, if you look at our wire mapping now, we've got wire number 2 from pin 2 going into wire number 6, or pin 6, which is our video input, which is video out to video in. All right, so let's continue. We still have video in, that's coming here. We do also have our TX, which is right here, which must connect to our RX, which is on here, which is the 3rd pin up. So if you flip this over, the 3rd pin up is going to be right here. So we're going to go ahead and pull that out. Okay, so take out pin number 3. And now what you're going to do is you're going to take pin number 6 from the Hobbywing and put it in pin number 3 of the HGLRC. Okay, and if you, and I will definitely put a drawing of this with the wire mapping, but you're basically kind of doing a resource like you would in a motor, for example, on Betaflight. So you've got, again, recapping, pin 1 stays out, pin 2 from the Hobbywing, which is video out, will go into pin 6 of your HGLRC, which is video in. So 1 is out, 2 goes to 6, all right? And now what we're looking at is number 3. Now number 3 is your power, which is your voltage in. Well, on here, voltage in is pin number 1. So number 3 will go to 1. Just like that. And then press that tab back down. So now we've got voltage, 10 volt out, which is pin 3, is now going into, like I told you, voltage in, which is pin 1 on the HGLRC. So now you've got these swapped. The next one is going to be, we're not going to be worrying about 5 volt or ground here because we're not powering anything else. So the only thing left that we want to do is we want to get our TX from here, from the Hobbywing, into our RX of the HGLRC, which means our RX, and let me just check and see what I've got. Oh, I've already done that. Sorry, I didn't realize I'd done it. Now, there is a cable you do not need at this time, and it's up to you if you want to take it out. I'm going to, because I do not want to connect it to my HGLRC because it would give the wrong input. So what I'm talking about is I'm talking about your RX on your UART here. Now, you can leave the cable if you want, but you do not want to plug it into the HGLRC. So you can do one of two things. What I'm going to do, because I'm not using my RX right now, is I'm going to find it. RX on here is pin number 5. So I'm going to find pin 5. And I'm just going to, it's the second to the end right here. So I'm just going to raise that tab up. And I'm going to pull pin 5. I'm going to pull wire number 5 out. Trying to get a grip of this is not the easiest. All right, let me see if I can get this to pull out. There we go. And then I'm going to come over here because I'm not going to be using it, because on here, that would correspond to my ground. All right, and we're not going to be using that on here because that's for ground for outputs. We're going to go ahead and pop up our pin 5. And we're just going to basically remove this wire and we can set it aside. That's an extra wire. It's a good wire, so keep it because you may use it down the road. You can always put it back in if you want to. All right. So your wiring now looks like this. The Hobbywing is done, and you want to check and make sure everything's in there securely. And now if you flip over your HGLRC plug and you're going to plug it in, everything lines up perfectly, and there is literally no soldering on this. So if you want to recap, sorry, all that binging going on is customers writing me while I'm trying to do this. So if you want to recap, you're going to look at it like this. You're going to have pin 1 from the Hobbywing gets pulled, and when I say pin 1, I mean wire 1. It gets pulled and left to plug into your video in or your video out from your camera. Pin 2 or wire 2 from the Hobbywing will trade over, and that is your video out, and that'll go into pin 1 of your HGLRC, which is video in. Wire number 3 which is your power, 10 volts, will now go to your wire number 1 on your HGLRC, which is your voltage in. Wire number 4, which is your ground. Let me move this out of the way. So 1, 2, 3, 4. Will your ground here will actually go. Now I put it in. I can take that out because I could actually put this in number 2. So let me show you that one, because I did it in either way. But let me go ahead and pull this out and put it in pin 2, because I don't think I mentioned that. So we'll find our ground, which is 1, 2, 3, wire number 4, right, which is right here. And we're going to go ahead and take 4 out, and we're going to put it in pin number 2 of the HGLRC. So 1, 2, 3, 4. So let me just pull that wire out. It should be the corresponding 4 here. Yep. We're going to pull that out, and if you'll notice, that 4 is going to match with the HGLRC, with the Hobbywing 4 right there. All right, so it's wire number 4, and we're going to take that, and our ground on the HGLRC is pin number 2. So we're going to just put that in pin number 2, just like that. Make sure you press those all the way up on there so that it doesn't fall out. All right, and then push those tabs down. And now what you've got, if you were to write this down with a pen, so grab a pen if you can, and if not, I'll put it online, but just giving you a heads up. Hobbywing 1 stays out and goes to FPV cam video out. Hobbywing 2 goes to HGLRC 6. Hobbywing 3 goes to HGLRC 1. Hobbywing 4 goes to HGLRC 2. Hobbywing 5 is omitted. Hobbywing 6 goes to HGLRC 3. Okay, so if that makes sense, it's 1 is free. 1 is free and kind of waiting for the camera. 2 goes to 6. 3 goes to 1. 4 goes to 2. And then 5 goes to 3. So if that makes sense, you can verify here. All right. Video in goes to the camera. Video out, port number 2. Video in on this one is port number 1. So 2 goes to 1, just like we see. 10 volt, which is your 10 volt, which is your power. Power over here is going to be port number 1. I'm sorry. Port number 1 over here. So it's going to be your power of 10 volt. Number 3 is going to go to number 1. That's your 10 volt, right? And then you've got your video out, which is going to go over here. And you've got your ground, which is 1, 2, 3, pin number 4. And over here, your ground is pin number 2. 4 goes to 2. And then there you go, and you have it. That is exactly how it's done. And now you have safely wired your VTX to your Hobbywing without having to do any soldering. And I hope that helps, guys. It'll apply to anything, any other board that you're working on. Just always make sure to double check. The first time I did this, I did make the mistake, and as you can see, this is my practice board because this is what I did when I made my mistake, and that is because I did not keep track of the pins. So when you do place it on top of each other again, make sure they all line up like they're supposed to, and you can trace them back always. Don't be in a hurry when doing this. And if you do it like me, you will have 1 wire left over that you can use for extra. Hope that helped, guys. If you need anything else, let me know. These are quick videos. I hope that explained it, but I will put a chart on to tell you how the wires should go. And hit me up at Tarek at CycloneFPV.com, or check out our website at www.CycloneFPV.com. Thanks for all your help, guys, and appreciate your support. Talk to you later. Bye.